Wow, man. It seems like 2011 is like the year of the breakups, man. All of my friends or all of my acquaintances that I know um, have been going through some pretty rough breakups, man, or like divorces or separations or whatever the case may be. Whether it's severed friendships, breakups, divorces, whatever the case may be, people just are dismissing each other out of each other's lives, and it's kind of fucked up, and I don't know why that is. But I had recently posted a tweet on my Twitter asking what is better, and don't quote me verbatim because I don't really remember what I tweeted, but I asked, what's better, being in a relationship or being single? And surprisingly, a lot of you guys said that you guys would prefer to be single, which I found kind of odd because I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, being single and being in a relationship, they both have their pros and they both have their cons, of course. You know what I mean? I couldn't really necessarily pick between the two because you know it's kind of hard because there are a lot of pros to being in a relationship. I mean, for one, you have a person who will, call you in the morning, call you before you go to bed, someone who you can confide in, like, because as a guy, you don't really want to, like, confide in your boys and shit because it's kind of gay. So, sometimes when you get, like, really emotional or, you want to talk about that sappy type of shit, you can't really bring that kind of talks to your boys, so you need a companion, you need a girl there to talk about that kind of shit, and for the guys, don't look at me like I'm some kind of simp ass dude or some shit like that. Y'all have those moments where you talk to your girl, like when shit's just bugging you and everything, and you want a girl to talk to you and shit, because your girl will be there to listen to your bullshit and and whatnot. So it's good in that sense. Also in a relationship, sex is consistent, which is dope. You don't have to work for it. You just whip your dick out, and she gets the sucking, and that's cool. That's real cool. So so yeah, there's a lot of perks to being in a relationship. A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. Um, you know, what else? What other perks are there to being in a relationship? Um, just the quality time, like going out, like just going out to a movie, not worrying about having a date to certain events and stuff like that. You got somebody, So I always thought that was pretty cool. Um, Now on the other side of the spectrum, there's being single, and being single is pretty cool too. The pros are you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You don't really have to answer to anybody. If you want to go to a party, you don't gotta check in with your partner and be like, yo, babe, can I go to the Playboy Mansion where there's gonna be a bunch of butt naked hoes there? Like, you don't have to do all that shit. If you want to go, you just go. You know what I'm saying? But what else? What else? What else of being single? Oh yeah, you can talk to as many and whoever the fuck you want. If you see a cutie in the mall and you want to go and approach her, you can talk to her and not feel guilty about it afterwards, which is always cool. So this is definitely a perk, and you could talk to as many girls as you want and not have to suffer any of the repercussions or backlash from it afterwards. You know what I mean? You don't have to lie and put up with any bullshit afterwards and stuff. And yeah, there's a lot more. You save a lot of money too being single. Well, you do and you don't. Being single, if you're dating around, as a guy, you got to pay for the first dates and all this bullshit. So technically, you're not really saving money, but you're saving a little bit of money. Actually, I don't really know, to be honest, because if you're in a relationship, then the relationships, primarily the ones that I like to be in, are the ones where everything is 50-50. It's equal. Like if I take a girl out to the movies and I pay for the ticket, then she better pay for the popcorn and shit, and vice versa. But when you're single and you're dating multiple girls, that can get pretty pricey. But yeah, I guess that's a con. Anyway, I'm like rambling on. The point is, there's pros and cons to both, being in a relationship and being single. So, um, I put that tweet out, but I don't really have a straight and direct answer. I mean, I guess it just depends on where you are in your life at that given point in time. I mean, if if you can handle being in a relationship and like, you don't have the weight on your shoulders, basically, like what with your career or school or whatever the case may be, you can handle being in a relationship and take on all the responsibilities that encompasses being in a relationship, then I mean a relationship can be a pretty dope thing. But I mean, if you're a person who is just starting up their career and or starting up school and just wants to stay focused on the like other higher priorities, then being single is the way to go, man, because you don't have to answer to anybody, like I said, and you can just do your own thing. The only thing is it gets kind of lonely at times, like when you're dating around, it's like that having to search for that ideal person kind of becomes a drag. Um, but yeah, I could go back and forth about the pros and cons of being in a relationship, being single, and all this shit. So I'm not gonna ramble on too long. But yeah, just a little bit of not really food for thought because I don't really think I said anything too insightful in this little vlog. But I'm bored, man. It's like 5:30 and I can't fall asleep, so I figured I'd just turn on the flip and talk to you guys for a little bit. And sometimes like when I'm in this kind of mind state where I'm like half asleep and half dreaming, I get into these little mind clustery types of you know unusual like ways of thinking where like my mind just flows with random shit that I'm thinking at the time, and sometimes I sound incoherent like how I am right now, but I'm usually able to just let shit flow in hopes that it kind of makes sense to you guys at 5:30 in the morning. But if it didn't, I apologize, and I'm gonna go play some games and try to fall asleep. But thanks for listening. I'm your boy Tactics. Peace, and I'm out.